Hey, I'm Ronnie Allen, and I did my show presentation on Dexter. So let's get it started. Alrighty, so Dexter is a dark crime mystery drama with a hint of comedy that explores the story of Dexter Morgan, who's a serial killer. Dexter Morgan is based on a series of books written by this guy, Jeff Lindsay. I think it's pretty fitting that he wrote these books. He seems like the type. Though Lindsay wrote a few other novels, his most successful set of novels was, in fact, the Dexter series. So, a little bit more about Dexter. Dexter Morgan is a blood spatter analyst working for the Miami Police Department by day, but at night he hunts for those, well, who, in his mind, deserve to die. So, Dexter is played by Michael C. Hall. And before this role, starred in a show called 6 Feet Under, in which he works as a mortician. I'm starting to sense a trend. So now we're going to hop into the critical analysis and some of the technical elements that make this show so wonderful. One of them being the lighting, and the second being the narrative style. And we're going to jump into lighting first. So Dexter Morgan's whole life is really shrouded in secrecy, and the light complements this and the fact that he seems to hide in plain sight. But when things shift, you see his true intentions. As you can see in this first image, during a crime scene, he's doing his job, but he's brightly lit. And he seems perfectly calm, mild mannered, and he just looks like a regular guy. The lighting doesn't suggest anything ominous or wicked about him. And then you see this. It's the complete opposite, but Dexter's in his element. The room is dimly lit, and ominous shadows are cast around Dexter's face as we get to see his true nature come out. And because of this frequent contrast, it gives us, as an audience, a Jekyll and Hyde feel to the story. And with lighting alone, without audio or any context, we can actually tell what side of the coin he's on. And this duality lets us, as an audience, explore and anticipate what happens with such extreme subtlety, and that makes it very entertaining and be easy to watch. So the other aspect of this show, which makes it so wonderful, is the narrative style, and it actually adds a bit of humor. We see the majority of the story through Dexter's eyes. We do see some interactions outside of what Dexter sees, but they're far and few. So, because we experience it through Dexter's eyes, we actually experience with him. So, when he finds out information, so do we. And this kind of builds us a bond as an audience because we learn with him or we understand things with him. We also get to hear Dexter's thoughts as an audience. And this brings us closer to Dexter's because we're the only ones who can hear these thoughts. The fact that he's a sociopath and he doesn't comprehend certain emotions adds a bit of comedy for us because he tries to navigate the world as a sociopath while making sure he seems to maintain his facade, or he maintains his facade as a regular person, whether it's with his girlfriend or coworkers. And this provides us, also gives us a sense of how isolated Dexter may feel simply because, well, we hear his thoughts. So now we're moving on to a cultural analysis. So image is a concept that's thoroughly explored within the Dexter series. And how it's relevant to us is we live in a picture perfect world where social media kind of highlights and narrates every moment of our lives. For Dexter, he has to keep a pristine image so he can operate in the shadows, so he can murder murders. Still weird. But one slip up, and well, it's all bad. And this is kind of similar to our everyday lives, our lives. Thank you. A simple mistake, a typo, or you didn't punctuate, or even if you say something wrong, any sort of miscommunication, well, really can lead to a big whoopsie. That's better. So now on to the theoretical analysis. Much of Dexter's struggles deal with identity, and it's hard to be his true self because he's a sociopath. He kills people. That's not good. But this theme not only bonds us to Dexter, but it makes us question our own identity because as he discovers himself, we get to see what created him. But then it makes us kind of reassess how were we created, how do we interact because of situations that happen to us, or the fact that we have to learn to coexist with the dark side, just as Dexter does. And that brings up a lot of questions. Is our dark side a bad thing? Does our dark side actually drive us to do the things we do? Do we neglect our deepest, darkest thoughts and desires to maintain this facade that I mentioned earlier? Yeah. Dexter also progressively becomes more and more human to us. And this gives us an interesting dynamic to wrestle with as an audience because we understand that what he's doing is wrong, and yet we keep watching. Which leads us to our practical analysis, which is the justification of immorality. As Dexter racks up more victims, he finds that people are starting to become more and more grateful that someone is cleaning up the streets or killing murderers. And he even himself justifies his actions with this logic. But this immorality, ambiguity, thank you, goodness. This ambiguity and morality is honestly one of the things that makes it so good because it makes us question our own moral standing. And this is very intentional. However, the justification of immorality isn't new. It happens every day, business, sports, and throughout our history. No matter how you look at it, Dexter Morgan is a serial killer. And I think this looks to the show is meant for the audience to come to grips with the fact that it could be a bad person doing good things or a good person doing bad things. And I think this our justification, whether it's we want Dexter to go or we see Dexter is doing wrong, is part of the reason that this show is so impactful and it has done so well. Yes, it's almost over. um, in my opinion, 10 out of 10. Definitely recommend. You can find this on Netflix. There's 8 seasons, so watch them all. You'll love some of the characters and you'll hate some, but the show will keep you in its clutches. And if that wasn't enough, come
You know what? Things are good. Most people get all angry about going to work, the grind, just living for the weekend and all that. Not me. Nope. I enjoy what I do. Yeah, contributing the only way I know how. No place I'd rather be. Nothing else I'd rather be doing. This is what life's all about for me. And I only really feel like myself when I'm surrounded by blood.
thank you very much. I hope y'all have a wonderful day.